Pela atenção de todos. Bem, para dar continuidade à nossa programação, em primeiro lugar, eu gostaria de pedir a atenção de todos. Muito obrigado. Bom, o próximo palestrante é um dos gurus do pensamento moderno, ligado à inovação, a quem alguém apelidou de Steve Jobs da sustentabilidade. Um cidadão belga, natural da Antuérpia, fundador da ZERI, Zero Emissões Research and Initiatives. Criou mais de 200 projetos de sustentabilidade no mundo. Seu livro, A Economia Azul, 10 anos, 100 inovações, 100 milhões de empregos. O livro mostra os princípios de economia circular para a transformação de novos modelos produtivos e de consumo, que geram, de fato, valor baseados em usos de recursos naturais de águas, alimentos e energias renováveis. Gostaria de convidar para o palco o Dr. Gunter Pauli, por gentileza.
Obrigado.
Fique à vontade. Tempo, hein? Qual tempo você vai ficar, mais ou menos?
Quanto tempo tem? 1 hora?
5 minutos.
5 minutinhos? Bom dia. Bom dia a todos. Bom dia. I'm going to speak in English. If you don't understand something, ask me. I will translate. And eu falo português, mas você tem convidados que não entendem português.
Mas ela entende o que você fala, ela entende a sua emoção.
Mas entende a emoção. Bom. I think I need to talk to you in English. Because I think I can put more heart and emotion in my presentation. When I decide to speak Portuguese, then my mind is busy translating, and then my heart can't come in. So is it okay? Certo? Tá bom? Okay. Today is the beginning of this great event organized by Lindalia in this extraordinary museum, where I had the pleasure to be part of the team imagining the design. Could I have next, or this is the one I need to do. This is George Wagensberger. This is the man who brought me to Rio to think about the Museum of the Future. I cannot speak here without mentioning George. We need to talk and remember our mentors, because we're only here because we all had people who gave us love and attention, even when we didn't merit it. Because love is unconditional. If love is conditional, it's not love. So Jorge in Espanol, Jorge was the one who brought me here to think for 3 days about the future. It's sometimes very difficult to imagine the future when that's what you have to read every day. The news today is even worse. Europe talks about going to war. Can you imagine? To defend democracy. Hypocrites for me. But they take themselves seriously. In 1986, a little while ago, huh? 1986, I read the first IPCC report. And I concluded that the only way to go forward is zero emissions. Emissão zero. There's no compromise, it's zero. And I registered the trademark and the name Zero Emission. And for 10 years, no greenwashing was possible because I owned. And then Toyota came to visit me. And Toyota asked to be able to use zero emission. But I had the trademark. So I said, let's make a deal. You can use zero emission vehicle, provided you prove to me you're committed to a zero emission vehicle, and that was the Prius. And I said, that's not good enough. They said, what do you want? I want a real zero emission vehicle. So they came back 6 months later and had a 20-year plan to have the hydrogen car. And I said, that's much better. But you don't have to pay me anything. But you have to commit publicly to zero emissions. That's the campaign they did for 2 years. Time magazine, Economist, Newsweek, Paris Match, all of the major papers around the world ran advertising. The aim is zero emissions. We can engage with these companies, but you have to have it clear in your mind that the last you want is money in your pocket. The first you want is everyone gets it. It can be done. I have been surrounded by many scientists. I've had the privilege of being part of the team that prepared COP3. 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 It's now COP29. I was responsible for the new business models, the new way of doing business in an economy of zero emissions. And I was given free access to scientists all around the world at the United Nations University in Tokyo, where the rector was Heitor Gorgolini de Souza, brasileiro. I had learned to know Heitor in Rio de Janeiro in 1992, because I was invited by the United Nations as a special guest in the meeting of 1992, because I had constructed the first ever zero emission factory in the world. I had inaugurated a factory where even my car fleet, 1992, was only running on biodiesel, produced from the waste oil from the restaurants locally, which we were filtering in our factory. I was the one who paid €0.50 a kilometer for my staff to come on a bicycle to work. You know, for €0.50, people come on a bicycle. And some became great athletes. And when I was asked, what is your return on paying so much money to your staff to ride the bicycle? My answer was, my return is their health. They're healthier. That's the best productivity measure you can have in any business. Healthy staff. Thanks to the presentation of my company on CNN primetime news, United Nations took attention and I came to Rio. Thanks to Rio, I learned to know Heitor Gurgulino. Thanks to Heitor, I was invited to be in charge of COP3 for the new business models. Thanks to that, I have an incredible network of scientists all around the world. And thanks to that, I learned that el polvo, the octopus, is older than the dinosaur. No, I am, even at my age today, 68, I'm a little child. I want to discover things, because when they tell me the octopus is older than the dinosaur, I want to know about the octopus. I mean, how can we then say, okay, it's older than the... No, I need to know more, because the mind needs surprise. And when we're getting surprise, and you have the little boy alive, or the little girl alive, you get going. So my dear friend, Craig Foster in South Africa, in 2002 made a documentary about my work. In 2021, he got the Oscar for his documentary on the octopus. I have been following the octopus for decades. And I would like to show you a video. Gentlemen, video. I like to show you a video which is the first time ever presented in Latin America. Never presented before. It's a premiere.
Summer. Marine biologist Janis Lanshoff and I are diving as usual, documenting 1001 sea forest species, a multi-year project to highlight the lives of animals in the kelp forest. On our way out, we are distracted by an octopus in the shallows. Octopus vulgaris is number 1 on our list of 1001. This individual is very curious. Today we are looking for number 267, the shaggy sea hare, but the octopus has other plans for us. She glides out of her den in an unusual, bold move. I back away as fast as I can, but she's too quick. And grabs my camera while Janis is filming and laughing in his snorkel. Then she slowly turns the camera to face us and starts filming. She gives us a moment to look at the world from her perspective, to look back at us. It's hard to imagine what her life is like, but she helps us to consider the lives of all the species who share our planet. When the lens was turned on us, we both realized that number 1001 should be Homo sapiens, the human being in the sea forest. We are part of wild nature, part of this underwater forest. She gives us inspiration to keep going with our work, to shed light on those who have no physical voices, but whose biological presence keeps us breathing. Eventually, she gives my camera back. I'll need a new lens, but the lesson she has taught us is priceless.
You have seen the first video made by an octopus. We took this video, please give me the screen again. We took this video to one of the greatest experts in the world. Next one, please. Could you please move the... that will be fine. Let's go again. I want you to see the picture of the person we presented this to. And when you see who we presented to, you know this lady, Jane Goodall. And Jane is the person who studied the chimpanzees and really justified the name the primate. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what Jane Goodall said when she saw the video of the octopus taking the camera, checking it out, turning it around, filming Craig, and then giving it back to Craig. She said, this octopus is the primate of the sea. The primate! No, this is more than the primate, she said. What the octopus did, no chimpanzee has ever done. This is genius. But according to the scientists, the invertebrate called the octopus doesn't really have a brain. Excuse me, scientists, you got it wrong. The whole octopus is a brain. This is the level of discovery of our science today. We're too busy with DNA and genomes. We're too busy with molecules and chemistry, biochemistry. We have to look at the system we have not been seeing. And the level of intelligence. Let me tell you another story we told Jane, which we have on video. An octopus lives in an algae forest, preferably because it can hide. And it can be the predator. That's life at sea. The octopus, when it knows there is a shark around all the time, the octopus will decide to produce a decoy. What is a decoy? The octopus takes seaweed, leaves, chews it, turns it into a raw hamburger of seaweed with a lot of its saliva, and it keeps it under one of its arms. And when the shark comes attacking, she throws the hamburger. And the shark, he thinks he is eating octopus. No, he is eating seaweed with the spit of the octopus. This is a level of intelligence no chimpanzee has ever had. Chimps don't do that. Chimp can use toys and they can imitate and they can make all what we know, but making a decoy to get your predator off track. The octopus. I mean, anyway, I can give a lecture today about octopus, but I will just give one more. The octopus is the only animal, together with a sea worm, but the octopus, we know, has a sensor to measure the density of the water. Now, when we want to know the weather, we check the barometer and we check the density of the air. Ladies and gentlemen, we know from the laws of physics, density of water is 783 times more than density of air. So if you want to have precise information about the weather forecast, you check the density of the water, not of the air. But we do air. The octopus senses the reduction of density of the water and knows a storm is coming. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 octopus sense the same. And what do? They leave. When the ecosystem sees that 10 octopuses are moving out, everyone moves out. A bad storm is coming. We don't have that intelligence. I mean, we are so stupid, so backwards, we need satellites. But excuse me, you need the water. We need to check the density of the water. You talk to a scientist, and many scientists in physics will say, you can't compress water. Excuse me, the octopus figured it out. So the octopus is not only a primate, intelligent, is futuristic. Inspires science for the future. So here I come to Rio de Janeiro, and I have this extraordinary meeting with the Institute for the Urban Sea. And I thought I spent a lot of time about Rio de Janeiro, but you cariocas, you keep secrets. You don't share everything you have and you know. You want people to come back and discover. I didn't know you have this incredible wealth of rayas. Not only wealth of rayas, you have the variety of rayas. This one is pregnant. Let me show. 1 baby, 2 babies, 3 babies, 4 babies. Wow. She's expecting 4 babies. We have it on the belly. You ladies, you have it on the belly. Raya has it on the back. 4 babies delivered live after 19 months of gestation. Now, who knew that here? It was news to me. And when I saw the video, I was so blown away that I asked my friends to please make a documentary on the rayas gravadas. Grávidas. Thank you. But you understand grávidas as well. We need to document life rebirthing, the cycle of life. And your lagoon of Guanabara needs to be revisited and have a renaissance, renacimiento. And your beautiful rayas demonstrate it's happening. I hear a lot of people about the problems, and life will always include problems, otherwise it's not life. But what we're seeing here is an incredible beauty and elegance, a dignity, because uma raya grávida, she has dignity and calls respect. And this is the message that we have to give on Ocean Day. This is the symbol of the renaissance of your Rio de Janeiro. And that's why I don't call it just renaissance, I call it reinvigorating. Invigorar. Give it new force, not just renaissance. Give it new force. And that is really what I think we need to see. The birth of the new little Raya. Coming straight to life, where you are wanting to have a new economic development, a new social pact, and regenerate your environment. Unfortunately, people is all looking at TikTok and all looking the same and don't see the beauty anymore. Don't imagine the dignity anymore. Don't imagine the force of life that is in there. And that's what we need. We need to bring in the beauty, because today we see everything in black and white with the same glasses. And life is more colorful than that. That is one of the reasons why I actually would love not to give a lecture and take you for a couple hours of storytelling, fábulas. Because what we need today is not to analyze the problems. We know them. We've heard them 30, 40 years in a row. It's time to change the language. And time to say, nunca deixamos de sonhar. We will not stop dreaming. Because the best we can do in our life is to realize our dreams. And when you realize a dream, go beyond your dreams. Life is not about realizing dreams, because then your dream was not big enough. You need bigger dreams than you can dream of. And that is what really we need to do with our children. As crianças precisam ser inspiradas. We can't just tell them the facts. We can just talk to them about our values. You have to inspire them. And inspiration comes with surprise. Because our mind wants to be surprised. That's when you have a birthday party, you organize surprise. What's a birthday party that is organized like a United Nations conference? I mean, no one will remember, except how boring it was. I have had the pleasure of writing 365 fables. One for every day, as I promised my son when he was born on day one. You know, there's something that happens to men. when the first son is born, the first daughter is born, but for me it was a son. You change. Or you have the chance to change. And I decided I was going to become a storyteller. I need to tell stories to my son. Every day. It took me 33 years to finish 365 books. They're all published. And I don't know why me, but the Chinese government decided that every child in China should read every book I've written.
Let's bring it to Brazil.
Thank you. How is that possible? You know, whatever they say about China, to me is propaganda. Because I know that I wrote 365 books and never a letter was changed. Except once. And then I had to say, oh my God, how stupid was I? One of my fables is, why can't I steal less? ¿Por qué no puedo robar menos? And of course, there is this young boy, and this is the scene that I had put in the book, that goes to the priest to do confessions. And he confesses he's been stealing. But he promises to the priest he will steal less. And the priest says, I'm sorry, roubar menos, você não pode roubar, roubar é roubar. Stealing is stealing. And he said, yeah, but I can't stop from one day to the other. I need to steal in the weekends. I will not do it all week. Am I now a good boy? And the priest gets very upset. You are stealing. You go to hell. Oh, but then my dad will also go to hell. Okay? Su pai va all'inferno? No, I know your dad. He's a good man. Yeah, yeah. He has a factory. He has many good jobs. He's very kind to the people. And last year, we gave him the environmental prize because he cut pollution by 80%. And so the boy looks and says, why does my dad get an award for polluting 80% less, and I go to jail for stealing 80% less? The problem with my Chinese friends is that my fables are printed by the Communist Party. And they kindly asked me to change the priest to a policeman. And I thought, how could I be so stupid to propose to the Chinese Communist Party a boy doing confessions with a priest? That didn't make sense, so I apologized. But now comes the interesting. I apologize, I change, we change the illustrations, we send everything. And I go to China for the presentation. And when I receive the 36 books, I go through them, and I get the book with the priest. And then they come to me and said, it was an error from the printer. That means I had the Communist Party agreeing to put the priest. Kind of agreeing. The next edition they changed. But we only had 2.5 million copies with the priest. Small edition, of course, if you have 300 million children. Ladies and gentlemen, what I want to share with you is that when your intention is good, and when the story inspires, people don't stay dogmatic. Dogmatism, the fixed idea, the box is gone. people know that the intention is good. And I think they agreed in China that probably the priest was a bit more trustworthy than the policeman. Reality is, the fables gave me an incredible opportunity to start looking at every place in the world I go, and I'm so warmly received, like by you in Rio de Janeiro. I see fables emerging. And this is Rio de Janeiro. Lucio, my friend Lucio here, who accompanies me since 26, 27, 28 years. Lucio, it's adding, huh? We see this and we see, I mean, you must see beautiful things. And even when you're in Rocinha, even when you're up there, you see beautiful things. If you decide to see black and negative, you will see black and negative. But if your mind tells you you see positive, you will see positive. Because on earth, there is no absolute bad nor absolute good. We always see the good in the bad if we want to. So I come from this experience of rethinking mobility. I have just finished 160,000 kilometers with a boat that doesn't use a drop of fossil fuel. And here I come to Rio de Janeiro, and I realize that Rio is not just Copacabana, Ipanema, Leblon. I realize you have 614 islands, which most people in Rio have no clue about. I challenge you. Give me 25 names of 25 islands of the 614. None here will succeed. You will have to go on your phone. Even Wikipedia cannot go beyond, what is it, 80? Wikipedia only has about 80, but you get 614. So when I realize that you are really the state of the islands, you're an island state, then you need mobility. Because unlocking islands means being able to go. I telephoned several hotels with a very American accent to know if I can get a boat to go to all these islands. And the result is they said, "Sir, we can't organize that." I was, of course, my dear mermaid, you can swim. 614, I'm not so good. You are. What I realized is that Rio de Janeiro is not set up to even take the wealthy tourists and the poor people in the favelas to be able to reach out to the islands. I looked at satellite pictures and I realized that Rio de Janeiro is importing so much of its food. But on these 614 islands, you can grow the food for Rio de Janeiro. And then the response is, there is no water. Let's get water. There is no power. Let's get power. How? Well, I've done it on a boat. Barco é uma ilha. Una ilha menininha. So I have been able to go all around the world on a boat. I had all water, all food, all power. If I can do it on a boat, you can do it. There's no other excuse than to say, "Oh, I haven't thought about it, but then now, let's do it." I will not go into the details of all the ideas, all the surprises that started to emerge. That is summarized in my book, which you will receive. thanks to Anna, who secured, and her team, who secured the book is published. I want to thank you all for believing in many of these sorpresas. Because I bring surprises because I'm a specialist in surprises. And once you start adding science to surprise, you can develop business model. We need a new type of entrepreneurship. I listened to the panel on sustainable fashion. We need a new business model. A business model that is competitive, a business model that is social, a business model that regenerates the ecology, the ecosystem, and that gives us happiness. Can we talk about happiness? Felicidade. Could we feel like we're doing business and we're happy and the people who are customers are happy? This is what I was told in 1960s when I was studying. And I have been very privileged, and I'm so grateful I see several of you here, that on top of the surprise and the science, you all participated in giving me advice, telling me that I was wrong, that I had to look in a different way. I met with 96 people in 5 days' time to review all the proposals, surprises. In order to solidify them, there's the idea, there's the science, and there's the local appreciation. Because if there's no local buy-in, there is no project. We need to have people saying, I think this goes in an interesting direction, and you add your sauce to it. My idea is not an absolute one. We need to get going. I show you this picture because if you have the surprise, the science, the local buy-in, then you have to make it beautiful with arts. I show you this because I was professor for 17 years at the Politecnico di Torino. And I challenged my students to make art with what you have. Fazer arte com o que você tem. And what happened is I gave him a cup of coffee and the coffee beans. This student got not 10 on 10, he got 20 on 10. This student got double what I could give. Because if you have a cup of coffee and a bean and you can make John Lennon, then you're a genius. But what is more important, you can communicate. Because there's so many great ideas, great projects, but because we can't communicate them, people don't, as we say in English American, we don't get it. We need to make certain we can get it. And this is really what I'm doing with our work. I'm seeing opportunities. I'm seeing how they're connected. And then I'm looking for more connections. Es la inteligencia de enxame. It's the swarm intelligence. Not expertise, but swarm. Because by bringing all these intelligence together, you will get this. And this is what Jaime Lerner, one of your great urbanists in the world, calls urban acupuncture. Urban acupuncture means that you're able to do hundreds of small initiatives that create a multiplier effect, or efecto multiplicador. The government, investors, they don't have unlimited resources. You need to find how your input generates many more inputs. I made the analysis for mobility with the islands. Imagine, o Estado de Rio de Janeiro decides that on 100 islands there will be a pontoon. A ship that is not very deep can visit every island. Every island has a kite with a robot, generating water and power 24 hours a day. When an island has no one but has water and power, what do you think happens? People come. Because they don't go because there's no water and there is no power. But if you can do that 100 times, then you're generating intelligência de enxame. The swarm intelligence is the most beautiful intelligence of nature. It's the way how the bees, abelhas, cupim, the termites, how the birds, we all organized. And this is the intelligence that I'm suggesting o Estado de Rio de Janeiro develops with mathematical modeling, with the artificial intelligence, in order to be able to turn surprises with science and local buy-in into an engine of development that will eradicate poverty, not diminish, eradicate. Are you standing there to tell me that I should finish? I will talk a little bit more, with your permission. But I don't want to take time from the other speakers either. What we need to do is this beautiful image of the artisanal fisherman who's been here for hundreds of years. We need to help discover that the sea is more than a fish. The sea is much more than a fish. And as soon as we discover how we can make better use of that incredible ecosystem of the sea, how we can have much more for the benefit of the sea and the benefit of the fish and the benefit of the fishermen. We need to be able to have, as in the panel before was said, the stakeholder. Who are all the stakeholders, but can we surprise them with the benefits they will get? Because the force is that they will be surprised. Everyone thinks en una troca. I give this, you give that. No, we work as a team and we get much more. All is more than the individual parts. And that is the image we want to leave you with. It's not just the fish. We need to zero in into the ecosystem. And to conclude, and to refer to my friend Craig Foster. Craig showed me the beauty of the octopus, El Povo. But when you see the octopus and know the octopus, you see 1,000 other species. Wow! And then we realize it is the web of life. La telaraña de la vida. En español, no sé cómo es en portugués. Telaraña? Rege, la telha da vida. La telha da vida. My friend Fritjof Capra, with whom I wrote a book together, taught me that life is a web of life. But what the scientists have told me is that the web is not there to catch, because you up to 1 centimeter to catch the fly, because of the laws of physics. If we don't get the science to our children, in addition to the surprises and the great stories, they will not be able to translate their dreams. And what we need to focus on is get the dreams going and secure the science is there. Not rogue science, not the earth is flat. We need the science word to which we don't have the answers yet. And therefore, let me conclude with another one of my fables, which is a fable about an owl in a tree wanting to teach a mouse the law of gravity. The owl is smart, and the mouse, well, the owl could decide to just eat the mouse, but decides to be generous today and teach a lesson. The mouse looks up and says, will I eat more when I know the law of gravity? Pode comer mais? No, but it's intelligence, it's science. What can I do with science? What will it do good for me? And the owl thinks around and says, well, you will be smart, you can get a diploma in school. And the mouse says, could you pull out a feather from your chest? And the owl is a bit surprised, but it's in a good mood today. Pulls out the feather, drop it. And all of a sudden, the little feather starts flying around. And after about 1 minute, the feather finally touches the ground. And the mouse says, could you please calculate according to the law of gravity? And I said, that's not possible. Why is it not possible? Well, because the law of gravity is in a vacuum. Un vacío. And this is not a vacuum. But the mouse says, in a vacuum, there's no life. And the owl says, you really are a naughty little animal. And the mouse responds, you know, owl, I'm not interested to know how the apple comes down. I want to know, how did the apple get up in the tree? And the mouse had nothing to say. Because even in this room, if I challenge you, ladies and gentlemen, do you know what are the 7 laws of physics that permit an apple to go up against the law of gravity? Because the apple goes up, the coconut water goes into the coconut, no one pumping. And this is perpetual energy, right? Oh, we thought that's not possible. Second law of thermodynamics. You're always losing. Oh, but the apple seems to be winning all the time. This is exactly the kind of debate. We need to redesign the economy. We need to rethink the questions to which today we haven't even had the guts to ask. Let's ask the questions. Let's get the science right. Let's inspire the children. Let's discover the beauty of your water economy here in Rio de Janeiro. And let's just do it. Thank you. Vamos a fazer uma sessão de filmagem.
Muito obrigado, Gunter Pauli. Obrigado por sua explanação, por sua apresentação.